Good morning students, my name is Suvas Vora, Assistant Professor of Electrical Department. The arc instructions theory. Start with the new chapters. We can learn about the what we seen in the last lectures. So in the last lectures we were discuss about the in the last lectures we can see that the physics of arc phenomenon. So in the physics of arc phenomenon means during the operations of the power system, it is often the describable and the necessary to switch on and switch off the various circuits. For example, the transmission lines and distributors and generating plants and etc. So under the both the normal and abnormal conditions, in earlier days we can use the switch and the fuse placed in the series with the circuit. However, such the means of the control the present to disadvantage. सो अगर मैं फ्यूज़ की बात करूँ तो फ्यूज़ हैव द टू मेन डिसएडवांटेज. द फर्स्ट वन इज़ जो फ्यूज़ है उसमें जब फॉल्ट होता है तो फ्यूज़ डिसकनेक्टेड कर देता है, बट उसके अंदर जो टंगस्टन वायर है वो बंद हो जाता है. तो जब जब फॉल्ट होता है तब उसको वापस से तार जोड़ना पड़ता है. और कहीं बार जो फ्यूज़ होता है वो नावडे जो हैवी वोल्टेज है उसको सस्टेन नहीं कर पाता है और ब्लास्ट हो जाता है, कई बार बंद हो जाता है. सो दिस टू डिसएडवांटेज द स्विच एंड द फ्यूज exit for the switching and the protection of the distribution transmission and the lighting circuits. सो नाउ अब जब हम इलेक्ट्रिकल आर्क की बात करते हैं तो व्हाट इज़ द इलेक्ट्रिकल आर्क. अब इलेक्ट्रिकल आर्क क्या होता है कि जब सर्किट ब्रेकर में जब दो कॉन्टैक्ट को ओपन होता है, जैसे कि कोई फॉल्ट हुआ है तो उसको सिग्नल मिलता है सर्किट ब्रेकर को और कॉन्टैक्ट ओपन हो जाते हैं. तो जब कॉन्टैक्ट ओपन हो जाते हैं तो उसको जब कॉन्टैक्ट में फॉल्ट की वजह से हैवी करंट फ्लो होता है तो एक कॉन्टैक्ट फिक्स होता है, दूसरा मूव होना का स्टार्ट होता है. तब between the two contacts the arc will be produces due to the potential difference. So generally, and the electrical arc is formed whenever the electric current is passed between the two metallic electrodes which are separate by the short distance from the each other. So the definitions of the electric arc is during the separations of contact due to the large fault current and the high current density at the contact regions, the surrounding medium ionizes and thus the conducting medium is formed. This is called the arc. So here you can see that this contact is fixed and this contact is moved. Now जब ये कॉन्टैक्ट यहाँ पे होता है तब आर्क जनरेट होना स्टार्ट कर देता है. जब जैसे जैसे ये यहाँ तक मूव होगा तो बिटवीन द एयर इज अ कंडक्टिंग मीडियम द आर्क विल बी जनरेटेड. तो ये जो आर्क है उसको रिड्यूस करना पड़ता है. तो फिजिक्स ऑफ द आर्क फिनोमिनन की जब हम बात करते हैं तो द फर्स्ट वन इज द when the contacts are being separate, the arcing is possible even when the circuit EMF is considerably below the minimum cold electrodes breakdown voltage and cause the large local increase in the voltage. And the second one is in the AC circuit breakers, the arc is executing every time the current pass through the zero and can strike only if the transient recovery voltage across the electrode already separate the continuous to separate the which reaches a sufficiently high value known as the breakdown voltage. So what is the arc phenomenon depends on the nature and the pressures of the medium, then the external ionizations and deionizing agents the present the voltage across the electrodes and its variations with the time, the nature, shape and separations of electrodes, the nature and shape of visual and its the positions in relations of the electrodes. सो जब हम बात करते हैं द आर्क इंटरप्शन थियरी, सो आर्क जो है उसको डिस्ट्रॉय करने की बात है, तो इन द सर्किट ब्रेकर द मोड ऑफ द आर्क इंटरप्शंस आर हाई रेजिस्टेंस इंटरप्शंस एंड द लो रेजिस्टेंस और ज़ीरो करंट इंटरप्शंस. जब हाई रेजिस्टेंस की बात करते हैं कि उसमें क्या होता है कि जो आर्क के प्रोड्यूस होने की जो कैपेसिटी है उससे ज़्यादा हम करंट उसमें से फ्लो कर दें तो आर्क डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाता है. अब जब लो रेजिस्टेंस की बात करते हैं यानी कि ज़ीरो करंट इंटरप्शंस की जब हम बात करते हैं जब होती है तब उसके आसपास पोलराइजेशंस हो जाता है और उसको आयोनाइज की वजह से डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाते हैं. सो दिस आर दी टेम्परेचर्स डिपेंड्स ऑन द arc. Now, the arc phenomenon that during the arc period the current flowing between the contacts depends on the resistance and the greater resistance smaller the current that follow between the contacts. So the arc resistance depends on the degree of ionizations, then length of arc and cross sections of area. So these are the figures for the आर्क. हाउ टू जनरेट द आर्क. जब एक फिक्स कॉन्टैक्ट हो और दूसरा मूविंग कॉन्टैक्ट हो, जब फॉल्ट सर्किट ब्रेकर ओपन होता है तो आर्क विल बी प्रोड्यूस. सो द आर्क इज डिपेंड ऑन द आर्क वोल्टेज एंड द वोल्टेज ड्रॉप अक्रॉस द आर्क इज कॉल्ड द आर्क वोल्टेज. सो दिस आर द दिस वन इज कॉल्ड द आर्क वोल्टेज. जो हमारा जो नॉर्मली वोल्टेज है उससे डिस्ट्रॉय कर देते हैं, उसको बोलते हैं आर्क वोल्टेज. नाउ द मेथड ऑफ आर्क. सो व्हेन द करंट कैरिंग कंडक्टर्स ऑफ द सर्किट ब्रेकर आर सेपरेट देन द आर्क इज फॉर्म. सो दिस producing arc form for the small during the contacts makes an open. This arc dissipated as heat which way result in explosive force. So the capacity of the circuit breaker should be capable of exciting the arc with arc between the contacts are potential difference between the contacts and ionization particle between the contacts. जैसे मैंने पहले ही बताया कि किस तरह से ये वर्क करती है. So these are the learned in the last lectures. So today's lectures is the method of arc extinctions and the arc interruptions theory. So जब आर्क एक्जिस्टेंस की बात हम करते हैं तो हमने देखा था कि इन द लास्ट लेक्चर्स द पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस बिटवीन द कॉन्टैक्ट्स एंड द आयोनाइजेशंस पार्टिकल बिटवीन द कॉन्टैक्ट्स. सो आयोनाइजेशंस में हमने देखा था कि व्हेन द आर्क इज स्ट्रक बिटवीन द कॉन्टैक्ट इज सराउंडेड बाय द आयोनाइज्ड पार्टिकल्स एंड दिस पार्टिकल्स टेंड टू मेंटेन द आर्क. So further there are the two method of existing the arc in the circuit breaker and is the high resistance interruptions method and current zero interruption method. This one is also called the low resistance method. So in the high resistance interruptions method की जब हम बात करते हैं, so by increasing the resistance of the arc path the arc is interruptions can be obtained. So in this method the arc resistance is made to increase with the time so that the current is reduced to a value insufficient to maintain the arc and consequently the current is interrupted or the arc is executing. So the principal disadvantage of this method is that the enormous energy is dissipated in the arc. Therefore it is employed only in the DC circuit breaker and the low capacity AC circuit breaker will applicable. So the resistance of the arc may be increased by length of arc, cooling the arc, reducing the x sections of the arc, and splitting the arc. Now the arc resistance is depends upon the following factors. So we can discuss the high resistance insertions is obtained by increasing the resistance of arc. So the equations is the R is equal to V arc upon I arc, where the I arc means current in arc, V arc means voltage across the arc, and R is resistance of arc. So assuming the I arc to be the constant, the resistance of the arc can be increased by increased by the voltage of the system. So the voltage arc is A plus BD plus C plus dB, where A, B, D are the constant and small d is the length of the arc. So from the equations, the length of the arc can be increased and the arc voltage, hence the arc resistance. Hence the arc resistance can be increasing. So at this stage the arc get destroyed. So the main disadvantage of this method is that the hug amount of energy is dissipated in the arc. Therefore this method is used only the DC circuit and the small of the AC circuits. So the arc resistance is increased by the following methods. The first one is the length of arc by arc running. So arc running means you can see the figures. This one, यहाँ पे हम आप देख सकते हो कि इनिशियल पोजीशंस में या इस तरह से होता है जो आर्क हॉर्न्स होते हैं वो. सो दिस वन इज़ द पोजीशंस आर्क एंड द ये आप जो देख रहे हैं वो जो डॉटेड लाइन है वो, और ये जो आप देख रहे हैं वो फाइनल पोजीशंस ऑफ द आर्क. अब आर्क रनर ये जो है वो आर्क रनर है जो दो हॉर्न्स है वो, एंड द फील्ड एंड फोर्स ड्यू टू द इलेक्ट्रोडायनेमिक फोर्स. अब क्या होता है कि इसमें द आर्क रनर आर हॉर्न लाइक ब्लेड ऑफ द कंडक्टिंग मेटल्स and which are connected in the arc contacts of the circuit breakers and the tips reading upward in the V shape. आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि V shape में है. So when the contact of the circuit breaker are start opening, the arc gets struck between them and transform in bottom of the runner. So the arc below upward by the electromagnetic force यानी कि ये आर्क है वो फोर्स की वजह से अपवर्ड आएगी, और यहाँ पे क्या होगा कि जिस जैसे उसका पाथ बढ़ जाएगा और लेंथ बढ़ जाएगी तो वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगी. सो दिस आर द फर्स्ट वन. नाउ द सेकंड मेथड इज द स्प्लिटिंग द आर्क. अब स्प्लिटिंग आर्क में क्या होता है? सो आर्क स्प्लिटिंग आर द प्लेस इन द पाथ preparing particularly to the arc, and the arc is pulled into them and the electromagnetic force. So by the virtue of this effect can be get the arc executing. So आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि किस तरह से इसमें वर्क होगा. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो कि ब्लो कॉइल है. आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो जो ब्लो कॉइल है और उसमें से पाथ बनाया हुआ है. अब जैसे जैसे आर्क यहाँ पे अपवर्ड आएगी तो जैसे ही ऐसे इस तरह से वो पाथ अपना सिलेक्ट करेगी. अब जब पाथ में जाएगी उसमें जाएगी तो क्या होगा, धीरे धीरे वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगी. तो दिस आर द स्प्लिटिंग. हम क्या कहते हैं, जो आर्क है प्रीवियस में हम क्या कहते थे कि आर्क को डिस्टेंस थ्रू डिस्ट्रॉय कर देते हैं, पर वो भी बहुत टाइम लेता है. तो इसमें हम क्या कहते हैं कि उसको पार्ट में डिवाइड कर देते हैं जैसे इजीली वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाए. एंड द लास्ट मेथड इज द कूलिंग ऑफ आर्क. सो ब्रिंग द आर्क इज कांस्टेंट with the cooled air being about the cooling of arc. So the cooling of arc remove the heat from the arcs. So the killing of arc bring about the recombinations of the ionization particles. So it causes the recombinations of the ionization particles. So the cooling remove the heat from the arc, and efficient cooling may be obtained by gas blast destroy among the arc. So these are the three different methods for destroy the arc. Okay, now the next topic is the low resistance or current, sorry, okay, the current zero method. So this method is employed for arc executions in the AC circuit only. In this method, the arc resistance is kept low, unit current is zero with the arc existing voltage across the contact. So all the modern high power AC circuit breakers employ this method for the arc destroying. So length of the gap, then high pressures, cooling and blast. So these are the basic informations of the high resistance method and low resistance method. So in the high resistance method, the length of resistance is increased by the length of arc, then cooling methods, then reducing the across the sections and splitting. In the low resistance method, the length of gaps, then high pressures, cooling and blast effect. So in the energy balance method and the voltage rate energy theory, if the rate of the generator is greater than of the dissipations between the contacts, the arc will be executed. And in the voltage rate of theory, if the dielectric strength of increasing more rapidly than the striking voltage, arc is executing. So these two methods we can see in the topic now. So there are the two arc interruptions theory. The first one is energy balance theory, which is called the Causes theory, and the second one is recovery rate theory, which one is called the Splines theory. So energy balance theories. So these the energy balance theory state that if the rate of heat dissipated between the contacts is greater than the rate at which, so the Causes has given the alternative explanations of about the process. It is also called the energy balance theory. He suggests that the re-establish of the arc or interruptions of the arc both is the energy balance process, and this means that if the energy input to the arc continues to increase, the arc restrict, and if not, arc get interrupted. So the assumptions will be made in this theory is the arc consists of the cylindrical columns have the uniform temperatures, then after the temperature remain constant, then cross sections of the arc adjust itself to accommodate if the arc current, and the power dissipation is proportional to the cross sectional area of the arc column. So the energy equations is given by the causes is given as dq by dt is equal to ei minus n, where the q is the energy content and the length of the arc in centimeters. So E is the voltage, then I is the total current, and N is the total power loss. So these equations is useful to destroy the or interrupt the arc. Now the rate of recovery rate of theory. So the recovery rate of theory state that if the rate at which the ions and the electron combine the each other to the form are replaced by the natural molecules, that is the rate at which the gap recovers its dielectric strength is faster than the rate at which the voltage trace rises and the as a race between the dielectric strength and the striking the voltage. After every current zero, there is a column of the residual ionization gas, and this may cause the arc to strike again by developing the necessary restrict voltage, and this voltage is stress is sufficient to detach the electron out of their orbit, due to which a great heat is released. So according to this theory, the rate at which the positive ion and the electrons combines for the neutral molecules, and due to the recombinations of the dielectric strength of the gap gets the recover. So this rate of recover of the dielectric strength is compared with the RRRV, the rate of rising of striking voltage. So according to the graph, you can see the graph. So first part, you can see that the part A here, the point dotted rate of the dielectric strength is more than the restrict voltage, and the point B dotted lines, the rate of dielectric strength is less than the rate of rising of restriking voltage. So these are the values of the restriking voltage. So the what is the drawback? These assumptions made while developing this theory is that the striking voltage and the rise of the dielectric strength are compared quantities with the not quite correct. And the next one is this theory does not consider the energy relations in the arc existence. The arcing phase is not covered by these realizations of the medium can be achieved by the following methods. The first one is the length of gap. So in the dielectric strength is proportional to the length of gap. So the length thing by rapidly opening of the contact is obviously procedure, and the permissible the arc length is limited. However, by the other considerations, for example, the arc energy and the possibility of the transient voltage due to current chopping. Then after the high pressures, अगर मैं high pressures की बात करता हूँ, so if the pressure is increased, the density of the particles constituting the discharge the also increases and destroy the arc. Then after the cooling, the nature combination of ions and the electron take place more rapidly if they are allowed to cool. Then here the blast effect. So the blast effect, if the ionization particles between the contacts are swept away and the replace the unionization particles, and the arc will be destroyed. So your today's no any worksheet questions, the assignment questions is discuss the principle of arc executions in the circuit breaker and describe the phenomenon of pre-arcing. And the second one is explain the low resistance or interruptions theory. If any query regarding this topic, you can contact me, and if any questions regarding this topic, you can mail me. My